I did it, guys. We're finally here. After so long, I'm finally get to make a video that's not a goddamn fighting game video. Which on my channel means that nobody's gonna watch it. But that doesn't matter. I promised you character analyses, and you're gonna get you character analyses. Character analyses. Sure. And we're gonna start with a fan favorite. The man, the myth, the legend, Vergil. So originally this was supposed to only be a Vergil video, but then I very quickly realized that you can't really do a character analysis of Vergil without also talking about Dante. Like, their stories are just too intertwined to ignore. So this kind of turned into a Dante and Vergil analysis. It's still mostly Vergil, but there's a lot of Dante in here too. So let's get started. So 2,000 years ago, nope, not doing that. Jesus. DMC has 2,000 years of history? Yeah, no, we're summarizing. So a long time ago, there was a universe, and the universe had light and dark. Humans lived in the light side, and demons lived in the dark side, and they were pretty chill with one another. That is until Mundus showed up, and then he looked around at all this peace bullshit and was like, nah, I'm not doing that. So he murdered the leader of the darkness and then decided to invade the light. This invasion was less of a war and more of a mass extermination. An extermination so brutal that one of Mundus's top guys was like, this is making me feel away. So he decided to turn on Mundus and use a bunch of crazy magic shit to basically block the two worlds from each other. So instead of having one universe of light and darkness, there was now a light universe and a dark universe, separated by some crazy magic barrier. After this traitor, also named Sparta, separated the worlds, he decided to stay in the human world. There he met a nice pretty blonde named Eva, who he decided to settle down and have kids with. Hold up. Sparta left his home, came to another home, settled down, married, and had kids. Was Sparta a passport, bro? Huh. He eventually had two twin sons named Dante and Vergil. They had a relatively normal life, like they were a pretty loving family. Vergil and Dante loved each other very much. They played and all that kind of stuff, and they both loved their mom, and their mom loved them. And the traitor Sparta just kind of abandoned them. Okay, that's not entirely fair. We don't know what happened to Sparta. He just kind of disappears from the story, and no one has any idea what happened to him. I think it's a little suspicious because Sparta is the most powerful being on Earth, and the portal to hell was closed. So as of now, there's no evidence that there's anything on Earth that was even capable of killing him. So he must have abandoned his family. But who knows, maybe in the future they'll reveal that there was some kind of weird misunderstanding. Either way you slice it, the boys were basically raised by a single mother. Well, you know, for a bit. At a pretty young age, the boys' house is attacked by demons, and their mother is killed. This was the worst night of both of these boys' lives, but their perspective of the event was very, very different. You see, Dante was in the house when they were attacked. Eva actually saved Dante by hiding him from the demons, and then his last image of his mother was running off to go find Vergil to try and save him as well. But she never returns with him, and after the attack is over, they're nowhere to be seen. So he just assumed that they both died. It was a tragic moment for him of him losing his entire family. Vergil was attacked the same night, but he was nowhere near the house. He didn't arrive to the house until hours later, and when he got there, his brother and mother were nowhere to be found. Vergil's experiences with the same event was believing that his mother took his brother and fled the property, leaving him to die. Dante's tragedy was one of sacrifice and love. Vergil's was one of abandonment and betrayal. And due to this, both boys went on two very different paths in life. Everything from the design of these characters to their personalities are made to be completely opposite, right down to their color scheme. Dante generally has a very messy look with unkempt hair and a jacket with no shirt for some fucking reason. He swings around a big sword wildly. He doesn't really take anything seriously. He's very goofy. He goes about things in a very clumsy way and has this very nonchalant attitude about pretty much everything. On the opposite end, you have Vergil, whose hair is very well kept. His clothes are very neat and clean. He almost looks like he's a part of nobility the way he dresses. His sword is slick and he fights with precision and skill. His personality is very to the point and focused. He doesn't talk a lot. He doesn't make any jokes. He sees what he needs to do and he does it. And then you have the obvious difference of one character being good and the other one being evil. With Dante going off to open up his own devil hunting organization, I say organization, he rents out a one-room office, and then spending his time protecting humanity from the demons, while Vergil goes off to murder lots and lots of people in the pursuit of power. And these stories bring both characters to very different destinations. Dante becoming the savior of humanity who defended it against complete destruction on multiple occasions, and Vergil being basically the biggest villain it's ever had and slaughtering thousands, if not millions of people in the quest to attain that power. And I think this is how most people see the story of Devil May Cry, as a very simple tale about two brothers, one good, one evil, and they don't really go much deeper into it than that. But I think that that's a mistake and a misreading of how well this story is told. If you look at the story a little deeper than just the surface and actually look at the, theming, I get to talk about theming. I never get to talk about theming on this channel. Oh, this is so exciting. Okay, the themes of the Devil May Cry series are actually extremely strong, and they have the same theme from the very beginning of the series as far as chronological order is concerned, Devil May Cry 3, all the way to Devil May Cry 5. At the beginning of the story, Dante and Vergil are both trying to do the same thing. They're trying to remove their humanity so that they don't have to deal with their pain and trauma anymore. Dante's doing this by putting on this facade of just not really caring about anything. No matter how bad things get, Dante will always make light of the situation, joke about it, and just sort of act like he doesn't care about what's going on. This is a defense mechanism he uses so that he doesn't have to feel pain anymore, like the pain he felt when he lost his family when he was a kid. And Vergil is trying to do the exact same thing. He's just going about it a very, very different way. Where Dante is shielding himself by pretending that he doesn't care, Vergil is actually going out of his way to remove the humanity out of himself so that he can't feel anything at all. He believes that the way of doing this is to gain more demonic power and removing, like literally removing the humanity from him. And not only are the characters' arcs set up this way, but it runs through the veins of every single aspect of this story. The story of Devil May Cry starts with Sparta using Yamato to split the human world from the world of the devils. He's literally dividing humanity from the darkness. That sword is then given to Vergil, whose entire arc becomes about removing his own humanity. Dante starts a devil hunting organization called Devils Never Cry, crying being a symbol of humanity since devils can't cry. They're not physically capable of doing it. Throughout the course of Devil May Cry 3, Dante tries really hard to not care about the situation that's going on. He tries to not care about Lady and her situation. He tries not to care too much about Vergil. He pretends that he doesn't miss his brother and that he doesn't want him back and that he doesn't want his family back. It's not until the very end of the game that he comes to the realization that sometimes devils may cry. The whole series is called Devil May Cry. And this is based on the scene in Devil May Cry 3 where Dante finally allows himself to cry over the loss of his brother, something he has not let himself do since he was a child. And by doing this, he is accepting the human part of his soul. He is finally deciding to allow himself to feel something. From that point on, I'm not going to say that Dante's storyline is done and his arc is over, but he gets to a point of realization that Vergil never does. That removing your humanity to not feel pain anymore is not a very good option. Vergil never learns that lesson, and it leads him to going to hell where he becomes a slave of Mundus for several years. When he finally does escape hell, he's so racked with trauma and just mental fuckery from the time that he was down there that he decides to use Yamato to literally separate his own humanity from his devil side, as well as the memories that he has of when he was tortured in hell. This divides him into three parts: the demon side, Urizen, the humanity side, V, and his traumatic memories of hell, which take the form of familiars. I made a poll not too long ago asking who the best character of DMC is between Nero, Dante, and Vergil. Dante won by a fucking mile, which doesn't surprise me, but the thing that did kind of surprise me is that there were quite a few comments on that poll that basically said something along the lines of Vergil being a terrible character that was completely ruined in DMC 5. The argument seemed to be at the end of the game didn't make any sense, how he wanted to kill a bunch of people and then out of nowhere just changed his mind and decided to become a good guy. And I feel like these people just straight up weren't paying attention to the game at all, or the series as a whole for that matter. I also have a sneaking suspicion that they don't see V, Urizen, and the familiars as different aspects of Vergil's personality. I think they see it as Vergil not being in this game until we actually see Vergil in his original form at the end, and completely skip over the fact that everything Urizen, V, and the familiars do is all Vergil doing it. They are parts of him and his personality. Their desires, wants, and everything that they do are things that Vergil himself wants. All development that any of those characters have is character development that Vergil has. Whatever changes they go through throughout the story, Vergil will also have that change when they come back together. This is shown at the end when Vergil reveals to Nero that he remembers everything that him and V went through throughout the course of the game. And all of their actions completely make sense for everything that Vergil has done in the past, and make sense as to why Vergil makes the decisions he makes at the end of the game. And I personally believe by dividing Vergil up into these different characters and having us follow all of them as the game goes on, we can explore different aspects of his personality in a way that we never have before. I think 5 does a great job in exploring Vergil's character through these other parts of his personality without ever having to have Vergil on screen. While Urizen is a pretty basic, boring character and there really isn't all that much to say about him, I think that's intentional. He's Vergil with all of the humanity and depth stripped from him. He's just the pure desire for power. It's the darkest side of Vergil's personality manifested, without any of the nuance and depth he had had in 3. V in the Familiars is where it actually starts to get a little more interesting. We actually learn a lot about him from these characters. V being Vergil's humanity who doesn't want to die and spends the entire game trying to recombine with Urizen to save his own life, tells us that the human side of Vergil doesn't actually want to completely eliminate his humanity. That's kind of an important revelation because up until now we've only seen him try to get rid of it. But throughout 5, V shows us that deep down he doesn't really want to. But to be honest, the most important part of these 3 is actually the Familiars. The Familiars is all the trauma and bad memories that have built up in Vergil over the years. And those Familiars show throughout the game that they will do anything for V and to help Vergil, even die for him. The whole game they're trying to help V get back to Urizen so that Vergil can be made whole again. But at the end of the game, when they actually do that and they have a chance to also combine back with Vergil, they choose not to, knowing that they will die if they don't. Because while fusing with Urizen will save their life, they're the bad memories and trauma. Vergil doesn't want those bad memories and trauma. He wants to get rid of them. So they do the selfless thing and just allow themselves to die. And this is pretty decent evidence of what I've been talking about this entire video so far. Vergil does not want power. He doesn't want to remove his humanity for the sole purpose of power. He wants to remove his humanity because he believes it is the source of his trauma and pain. By the time we get to the end of DMC 5, we see a version of Vergil that is no longer held back by that trauma and pain. This is the most full we've ever seen Vergil, and at his most powerful. All of that mental fuckery that's been holding him back his whole life is no longer there. By this point in the story, Vergil almost has everything that he wants. There's only one more piece to the puzzle that's needed. Okay, hold up. I can't ignore this anymore. What the fuck happened to Vergil's face? Vergil and Dante are supposed to be identical twins. That's what they were back in DMC 3 and all previous games. Identical. That means their faces are supposed to look the same. Vergil's face is supposed to look like this, not this. So what happened? And don't tell me there's some kind of comic book or novelization or show or fucking phone number I'm supposed to dial that gives me secret information of how Vergil's face got fucked up. It's not explained in the game why he looks different, and it aggravates the shit out of me. And even if they do explain it in some kind of comic or something outside of the game, none of the characters in this story ever mention how he looks totally different. This is the first time Dante's seen Vergil since DMC 1, several years ago. He doesn't find it strange at all that his twin brother doesn't look anything like him anymore. He doesn't even mention it. Dumb. I just talked about the themes of the story a few minutes ago in this video about how the characters are exact opposites but actually technically the same. They come from the same place and have the same story, just being two sides of the same coin. Them being identical twins is very important. When Vergil's hair falls down in DMC 3 and we realize that they look the exact same, that actually means something for the story. It's an indicator to the viewer that they are one and the same. Now, just to play devil's advocate for a second, I will admit that this face on Vergil does match his personality more than the face guy they got for Dante. And I think the reason why they did this is because back in DMC 3 they were two sides of the same coin, but in DMC 5 they aren't anymore. Both characters have evolved enough to be completely different from one another, so the whole them being the same person doesn't really hit thematically like it did in 3, but that doesn't change the fact that they're still identical twins. You can't just change it whenever you want because it no longer fits the theme. That's what they were, so that's what they still have to be. I'm saying it's fucking stupid. Anyway, what was I saying? Right. One more piece of the puzzle, and that piece comes in the form of Nero. Vergil's entire path towards this dark storyline that he's been following since the beginning all stemmed from the fact that he believed his family betrayed and abandoned him, and he wanted more demonic power to eliminate his human side so he didn't feel this pain anymore. Nero, who this video isn't about, but maybe I'll do one in the future if you want. His whole thing is about family and about a desire for acquiring that family that he never had. He's an orphan, and his foster parents never really cared about him all that much. His story is very much about a search for family. So when he finds out that Vergil is his father and Dante is his uncle, he's found his family. At the end of the game, he stands up to fight Vergil not for himself or to protect himself. He's fighting for Vergil. Dante and Vergil, if they keep fighting, one of them is going to kill the other. Nero does not want Vergil or Dante to die, and he is willing to fight both of them in order to stop that from happening. Vergil sees this in Nero and sees that he has family out there who are willing to die for him. Vergil, who cut off Nero's arm and killed thousands if not millions of people, was shown genuine compassion by Nero solely due to the fact that they are family. And this is what made Vergil change his mind about the Quigglethroth. the fucking tree. Devil May Cry 5 did 3 things for Vergil's character. It eliminated all of his trauma, it made him realize that he actually does want his humanity, and it gave him a new family who he saw was willing to fight to the death for him. These are 3 things that Vergil did not have back in DMC 3. So the argument that people were giving in that poll that they just don't understand why Vergil just suddenly changed his mind, decided to stop killing people, just kind of missed the point of his whole character arc. And I think there's also a misunderstanding about what kind of characters Dante and Vergil are. Dante is not a straight up heroic character, and Vergil is not a straight up power hungry monster. Dante does not fight demons out of the kindness of his heart. He either does it because he's paid to do it, because he has a personal investment in it, like his brother causing all the problems, or Trish showing up looking exactly like his mother, asking him for help, or because he thinks it would be really fun, because Dante actually really enjoys killing demons. And Vergil doesn't just go around slaughtering people for fun. He had a goal in mind. And with all of the development that he got in DMC 5, the goal was essentially made useless. He no longer needs to lose his humanity. So why would he just continue to murder people indiscriminately? That wouldn't make any sense. It wasn't an example of him just randomly turning good with no explanation. They are 2 very traumatized people who care deeply about their family, but through the trauma of loss have gone out of their way to try and deaden their soul so that they don't feel that loss anymore. Dante dealt with his loss in DMC 3. Vergil dealt with his in DMC 5. Despite the fact that you really don't get to play with Vergil as we know him until the special edition, DMC 5 is essentially a giant character study of Vergil and who he is as a person. And it's a really well done one. And if they decide to end Dante and Vergil's stories with DMC 5, it would be a really solid ending for their characters. Both end off the series doing what they love to do, trapped in hell, fighting demons, and fighting each other. Just sparring each other for fun like they used to do when they were kids and happy. This whole series is basically one long therapy session for these 2 brothers. And the theme songs are rad as fuck.
You shall die.
I am the storm that is approaching.
I am the storm that is approaching. God, pump that shit into my veins. But that's gonna be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, remember to like, subscribe, hit that little bell icon. Y'all be safe out there, you hear?